You've got your crystals, you've got your army diet, you've got your silent meditation retreat, please be quiet. You've got your oil pulling, bullet journal, juicing cacao. Come sit and talk about it, nothing is a sacred cow. Tell us all about the whoa that you do.
Hey everybody, welcome to That Woo You Do. You know, before you even listen, why don't you go ahead and like, subscribe, and give us 5 stars. I'm Mary Lynn Rajskub, and this is Jeffrey J. This is the podcast that asks, what is the woo that you do?
Ooh, that was like the best. I think that was so good.
I just got to keep talking.
No,
You know, and have a bright tone in my voice.
that one was good. That one was like just succinct.
Do you want to hear the joke that I wrote last night? And I didn't have a set, so I was gonna try to post it, and every time I filmed myself, I was like, and I had this epiphany where I was like, that's been my problem this whole time. Is that people, when they watch me, I've gotten a lot better at it, but they're like, is she okay? Like, was that supposed to go in that way? You know what I mean? And that's like the opposite of what you want to do during stand-up. Anyway, so I was trying to deliver this, and that's when I realized, like, no, just say it all at full volume, because you can't change the tone, because then people will be like, wait, was that the joke? Or did she not believe it? Okay. You know, there's a study that says, I have to deliver it right. There's a study that says that, that was done that says our dogs dream about us. But what they don't say is the doctor who did that study is the same guy that let his dog eat peanut butter off his penis.
Oh my God. Sometimes you'll write a joke, because you write the most beautiful personal jokes, and then every once in a while, out of the blue, you'll just be like, something about a dude coming. I'll be like, where did this one come?
The idea was just, a study says that our dogs dream about us. Like, would you ever prove that?
Yeah, that's
so
without
doing any research, I just said that doctor.
I love that.
But my first thought was like, but that doctor was in love with his dog.
Yes.
But then I had to like turn it
then
up
you
a notch.
punched it up, and you added peanut butter
to the penis. All punch ups lead to guys' dicks, right? guys and their semen. It's just, even as a female comic, it's the only way I can keep people's attention.
It's all about dick jokes.
These A cups and a random doctor. Okay.
Yeah, that makes me angry when
dogs are
someone tries to
generally
prove that.
attached to their humans. Your dog is dreaming of your face, your smell, and of pleasing or annoying you. I mean, it makes sense, but
how
you
do you
still can't
know?
prove it.
Yeah.
They're just making it up.
They're just making
So
it
obvious.
up. And the guy who made it up is married to his dog. Does that work? Can I make it less about a ejaculation?
Yeah, Dr. Barrett, we're on to you. We're going to get sued.
No wonder guys are obsessed with their penises. The whole culture. Okay, anyway. Listen, that's the champagne talking.
So that was your last night.
That was last night. I wrote that joke. And then I was going to post it, and then I got scared.
Oh,
probably because of that reason, just because it's like a weird thing out of nowhere.
Yeah, it can be. I mean, it is a weird one, but it is
I almost
funny.
sent it to you and said, is this funny? Is this worth posting? Because I also took a lint roller, and I was like laying on a pillow, and I was like, hey guys. So I was excited about that too, like like just a version of stand up at home.
Oh my
How good
God.
would that be if I'm like, I don't even have to go to the clubs anymore?
Yep, just a lint roller.
My OnlyFans is me doing jokes into a lint roller.
Oh my God.
With my titties out. And a guy in the background getting his penis licked.
I'm so glad that is not the thing that you texted me last night.
Oh, because you were, let's talk about it.
Because I was doing...
Wait, what's that woo that you do?
Mushrooms,
occasionally. Hold on a second. It's a very special episode of That Woo You Do. Let's talk about drugs, everybody's favorite.
The best drugs. So first of all, I think it's a little bit controversial sometimes when
Harvard psychologists reveal that dogs dream of their humans. See, if it comes from Harvard. Okay, go on. Did you say
but a lot
controversial?
of weird things have come from Harvard. And there's some great, actually there's some good LSD studies that came from Harvard.
Let's go.
So speaking of hallucinogens,
Let's fucking go.
Yeah. So I'm sober, so that's why this is a controversial subject for me, because a lot of people will say I was an alcoholic, and but so I don't drink, but I will occasionally microdose, and slightly larger than microdose, and it has. I'm not a doctor, whatever, blah blah blah, all the other things I'm supposed to say. Don't do drugs. I had suffered from depression, and it completely has, like, since I started doing these, like, it's called a pulse and binge and pulse or something.
Morton pestle. Morton pestle.
Yeah. It's called a pulse and something. Pulse and burst.
Pulse and burst.
That's
Pulse
it.
and burst. We're back.
And you do like this thing where you take the this certain amount every like 7 to 10
I'm
days.
Pulsing and bursting as you do that.
Ooh. And since I started doing that, I have had zero depression, and
so it really works.
Super works. What it does is it's about 3 hours long, and then I lay on the floor and I do deep breathing, and I basically do meditation, and I sometimes cry, and I process emotions, and then I'll like massage my face with coconut oil. And
that
listen to
is
my body.
that woo you do. If you didn't just win the best that woo you do, if we had a contest,
It's a pretty
you
good
would be
one.
getting the Oscar of that woo you do right
Yes, it's a pretty damn good one.
now. Who pets themselves on mushrooms and puts coconut oil and cries? I mean, I know people cry, but I think that's not the controversial part, but the interesting part is that you take the time to do that. It reminds me, like, the non-druggy version is like me putting the mat out and being like, oh, my neck hurts, I'm going to stretch. And then just not doing it for 4 days. Like, it's something simple. You know, like, how many people would actually take the time to do it with intention, like you're doing it, which are these, like, simple things, like coconut oil and stuff like that. But to actually go through and do that, I think is a pretty big deal. You've ritualized your self-care. Yeah, you just won that woo you do.
It really is a good one too. And also, I never know what's going to come out of it. All I know is I usually set an intention. Sometimes it's like I need to fall in love with my space, so I'll reorganize my room. Or I just got back from a family event and I needed to process, like, when you're around family, even when your family's great, you have to process a bunch of stuff. And
do tell.
at one point I started crying because my brother said, now this is going to get real for a second.
This is in real life. Okay.
This is what happened. I started crying because I was processing this thing that I didn't realize. But I was super touched because my brother said, you have salt and pepper hair. That looks good on you. And so I was like on mushrooms, and I was sitting there thinking, I was like, why did that feel so good to me? This is going to get real. Sorry, guys, comedy podcast. It's because I never expected to live this long. I'm pleasantly surprised that I am alive to have salt and pepper hair and to be living such a beautiful life. I was an alcoholic. I was, not happy with myself. I was depressed. I was transgender, all these things. Now I live a rich, fulfilling life, and I've earned my salt and pepper hair, and I was like proud of myself. And so I started crying because I was so happy. And that was a moment that I processed last night when I was doing mushrooms.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. So those are the things that, like, you think about stuff that you don't, otherwise we're just scrolling on social media and we don't stop and think about, like, the kind of things that go on in our life. And that's what that 3 to 4 hours once every 7 to 10 days does for me.
That's pretty amazing. And you made the decision to go into that with intention, even though you didn't know that you were going to come across that particular moment.
No, not at all. I just knew I was sore. I was like, I'm sore from the flight. And if I do mushrooms, then I'll typically, like, do deep breathing and relax my muscles. So that's what I thought I was doing.
Well, I'm glad you're alive.
Instead of, me too. Me too. That was like one of those cool things where, and then also too, you just, I don't know. It's just nice. You let go of a lot of tension. And mushrooms are one of those things where, like, if you do it with intention and with the right amount, and I do such small amounts that people who do mushrooms, because they're like going into the desert, I'm like baby town frolic compared to them. But it does exactly what I want it to do.
And so do you prep your space before you do it?
Fuck yeah, I do. I do not want a messy space. So what I do, I will take it, and then it is a race to clean my room.
Oh, that's what gets you to.
Yeah.
How long does it take to hit you? 20 minutes?
Sometimes about an hour to an hour and a half.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it takes a while. So
Are you straight up chewing them?
yeah, I chew them. I chew them up. I weigh them on a little thing, and then I chew them up or whatever. And I got them in a place they were decriminalized and stuff like that.
Are there different? Have you had different batches? Or are they pretty much all the same?
Yeah, you can have different stuff, and you can have like.
But it's not like weed. There's not like a spectrum.
Yes, there is definitely a spectrum.
There is?
There's different kinds and different brands and stuff like that.
So what kind do you get?
Well, I got a certain kind, and I really like this one. I also have like I have had in the past.
Do
like,
they have mushrooms
candies.
at weed stores?
Some of them, yes.
Oh.
Because it's become decriminalized in areas of California.
And they're specialized to the effect.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's very cool. And it's like just also the studies that have come out on Alzheimer's, memory repair, like it is insane, the things, depression, headaches, brain fog. If you do it in a certain way, in a very responsible way, then it's so good for you.
Headaches and brain fog.
Yeah.
Because what's the correlation? All those things are stress on the body,
There's
and
this
the
really-
mushrooms help you process.
Oh, dude, there's this really cool. It's like the way that the neurons fire in your brain. There's this really cool graph that I just saw in this one study that came out, and it was like a circle with these little dots of like boop boop, and it was like 3 lines or 4 lines or whatever in a circle, and it was like, this is your brain, and she said, this is your brain on drugs, and it shows this the brain symbolized in mushrooms and how many neural pathways, and it was just lit up like a Christmas tree. It activates areas of your brain that have been like that aren't always used. It's like
And
exercising
then connects
your brain.
it to your conscious mind.
It's like exercising your brain. It's like your brain doing a workout.
What? This is the biggest pro mushroom endorsement.
Yeah. Now, I wouldn't recommend to people that people do it the way that I do it right away, because I think you have to work up to. I always feel safe. I always know exactly what I'm getting into. I very controlled. I've never had a bad trip because I am so specific
I've only
about
had
it.
a bad trip.
No. Really?
Yeah.
Okay, well, why did this take minutes to get to? I want to know about your bad trip.
Because you're talking about the brain. And
Yeah, mine's the good side. Okay, what's the bad side? Wait, was yours mushrooms? Or was it acid? Because I've had bad acid.
Well, to be fair, I'm drunk off 1 glass of champagne, by
Sure
the way.
are.
So, can you tell?
No.
Oh, okay.
Not at all. I was saying you sure are to the 1 glass.
Oh.
Yeah, you've had 1 glass.
Woo! I've not had that many experiences, but the ones I've had have been. I mean, there was this straight up acid? I think there was a house party where I did a little bit of acid. That was terrible.
I would hate that.
And then there was Amsterdam where we thought we were being like super responsible, and it was like some type of joint that was a combo.
Oh.
I know, right? But we just were like, oh, we'll do like 1 puff. And we really did only do 1 puff. And we were both I was with my boyfriend at the time.
You just
we were
lost
both
a
just
day.
fucked.
Yeah.
It was like we were walking around, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, we just looked at each other. We're like, we have to get back to our hotel right now because we're about to not know where we are. Like, you could feel it coming on. And then just spent like a horrific time in a shitty, cheap hotel room.
Trying to figure out.
Of just like, like melting. Like, I would look over at him and I'd be like, oh. And then I'd be on the floor. Like, it was like that. The worm life of I'd be like trying to look at him, and then that would be melting and like demon, and then I'd be on the ground like looking through a crack of reality, and then I was like, let me take a shower, and everything I did was horrific. And then I can kind of remember when you're in another country and you just get like weird TV.
Yeah.
I don't even remember what it was, but it was some American show. I don't know what it was, like Family Feud or something like that. And just as the sun was coming up, being able to like slightly grasp reality and then going, okay, it's coming back, it's coming back, it's coming back.
I'm out of this thing.
Yeah.
That's insane.
I mean, the only thing I got out of it was like, oh, I understand black light paintings now. I get why that's a stoner thing. Oh, I get it. Cool. This sucks.
That's
and then I did a little bit of
amazing.
mushrooms again, and I was with a boyfriend at the time and a girlfriend. The three of us went to this cabin, and he was pretty pro-drug and like always had a good time. So I did a little, again, not even like the full dose of mushrooms, which maybe I would have been better off, but I just had like really bad stomach cramps.
Yeah.
And then like the colors started changing and I was like, fuck you, man. Like, what? Like the effects were pretty light and it was nothing. And then we encountered people and then they gave us food. And then I was like, I feel guilty. I'm going to eat their food. Like there was no, nothing about it that was, oh, this is cool. I'm filled with love. Well, we were walking around outside and then these people were really nice. But I remember instead of being like, oh, everything's beautiful, I was like, I feel bad that they're so nice. Like there was nothing that was, and then maybe there's one or two other than that. But they're all thumbs down.
Your stuff sounds horrendous.
It was terrible. As is pot. I have had some pretty decent experiences on like Molly, but the come down from that
is horrible.
It's
the worst.
Almost not even worth.
It's not.
I mean, at the time, I'm glad I did it, and I have had some good times on it. But even sometimes on it, I mean, as with all drugs, maybe not the way that you do it. I think this is like a different thing. But to me, it's like, even if you're on Molly and everything's great, you because you forget and then you come out of it for a second and you see yourself and you're like, gross, like you're disgusting, like you're all sweaty and you're touching people and then you like go back into it. So it's always this like cycle of horror for me.
Like
it's like, yeah, this is great, but it's gonna end and then you're gonna be just
and
like
then you're
this
gonna
for a while.
My worst
and you're a
experience
slave to the effect of it.
After so I did Molly on a school trip in high school. Wee!
Jeffrey does it again. So casually.
But after I was done with it, it was so funny too because the day, like it was like 3 days later, my mother had a talk with me. She was like, by the way, you know that if you ever doing drugs, just do it at the house. That we'll be fine with it or whatever. But just stay away from crack, cocaine, and ecstasy. And I was like, in my head, I was like,
you're like, ecstasy. Oh, okay, crack, cocaine, and ecstasy.
For sure.
Check. Got it.
Yeah.
I'm on it.
But I did it, and after I was done, this was such a nightmare. After the Molly, for 56 hours, I remember it vividly. For 56 hours, I would smile and not feel any joy. And it was a living nightmare. I thought I had
coming
myself.
off of it?
Yeah, after I was done with it. And I was like, I never want to do this again.
It completely depletes.
Yeah. And so I was like, I
don't understand how people do it a bunch of times in a row. Because aren't they depleted and then they're doing it again?
Yeah.
Like, where does it take
more.
you when you do more? If you're already depleted.
You must, it must break you at some point. And that's
what if we're like, let's call our Molly expert? I've done it for 1 month straight. It's great.
Oh, yeah. I did do it after that. I remember now. I did it.
Mine was always the come down is that the depression, and also I feel like it was cut with speed. So so I'd be like, like you'd get that like deeply like tectonic shifting of your spinal column, which is like this is cool. Great. I didn't sign up for this.
Ugh. The only time I did it and it was good was whenever I was in San Francisco doing shows, and a guy came up and hit on me. And he worked at Google. And
so far, so good.
He said, do you want to go? We were at San Francisco Pride. I was doing shows at I don't remember where we were. What's the other not the one we did. What's the other?
Cobb's.
Cobb's.
Was it
Well,
Cobb's?
Punchline. No, it's
We were at
Cobb's.
Punchline.
Yeah.
The Fillmore.
Yeah. And not that it matters
green
at
and
all
purple
to
onion.
the story. But I just went with him to Pride, and he said, lick your finger. And so I did. And he said, put your hand in this bag. And I did. And then he said, put your
classic.
finger in your mouth. And I did. And he's like, and I was like, oh, yeah, what was that? And he's like, it's MDMA. And I was like, sweet. And it was lovely. That
You're
was,
and it really was MDMA.
I think that
MDMA.
Google has some real, connects there.
Oh, so it was pretty fresh.
It was
pretty
great.
clean.
It was fantastic. I did not have any complaints about that.
So that
one.
was a good.
Yeah.
And what'd you do? Just walk around, or you can't talk about it? Bleep 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 bleep.
Yeah, no, we had a
Rated
great
X.
time. I don't know. It was a blur of fun.
But were you like
And
outdoors?
frenzy. Yeah, we were outdoors and then we were indoors and it was lovely. We were back
Around
at
a lot of
his-
people?
Back at his place and it was a real nice time.
Nice. Okay. I knew what was going there.
Yeah. But, so you had that and then what? You had another incident where you took something and I can't remember the story fully, but
What would
New
I have told
Year's?
you? Oh, because I tell that in my stand-up. That was the first time I did ecstasy, as it's called at the time, before it was called Molly. And I'm trying to think if that was really the first time, first drug I ever did. There may have been a couple of pot things before that and alcohol, but I was
and
with a
you
boyfriend.
got through art school with very little drugs.
Yeah, and one of my really good friends was doing crack. And she kept drawing the Egyptian eye over and over again. And I was like, boo. And then come to find out well, you're on crack. Hey, it's pretty good for being on crack. But she was like, yeah, me and this dude, there it is. Oh.
Yeah.
That right one looks real cracky.
Yeah. Sure does.
The dark eye and the empty
Yep.
eye. Eye of Ra.
Horus.
Eye of Horus. Oh, Horus is the negative
Empty
space.
eye.
Eye of Ra. Ancient Egyptian myth functions as a feminine counterpart to the sun god Ra and a violent force that subdues his enemies. Wait, what?
Ooh, that doesn't sound very fun.
This,
Kind of like crack.
yeah, sounds super. The eye is an extension of Ra's power, equated with the disk of the sun, but often
Whoa.
it behaves as an independent goddess. That was her, an independent goddess.
Whoa. So then you were just bopping around. Were you drinking at all, or were you just
No, I didn't
high
drink.
on life?
I didn't drink. I just was pretty. The people. Oh, that's a cool one. It's all shaded.
Oh, that's
Eye of
cool.
Ra, with that sharp thing down there.
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm tripped out on the pupil of the Eye of Ra.
So you made it through, and so then one of the
I just was
times-
very. When I was in high school, the crowd that drank were kind of to me the asshole crowd.
Jocks and
So
stuff.
yeah, so I didn't really hang out with them. And then the people I hung out with, I had a boyfriend that turned me on to Iggy Pop and Jim Morrison. He used to get wasted, but just as a showman, a
Yeah.
thing to do on his
Yeah.
own to push the
Because
world
my
away.
idols do it.
Yeah, so that didn't really include me.
Yeah.
Wasn't appealing to me. Although I had a couple isolated incidents, after the swim banquet, and then I tried one beer, one pot, and then I was throwing up into a bag. And so I was like, "That's not for me."
I forget until you say something like swim team, and then I go, "That's right, you didn't do drugs. You were swimming with your giant backpack."
Yeah, I didn't really learn until I was fully in my 20s. Even when I was in San Francisco, I was so poor that I would drink 3/4 of a beer, kind of how I am now, and be
Yeah.
like, woo, because I would be eating one burrito a day and then having one beer at night and getting crazy. But so I did Molly in LA with a boyfriend at a New Year's Eve party, and I felt, I thought I was oh, I trust him. We're going to do this together. And then I ended up wandering into this house and going into a random bedroom and just spending the rest of the night in the closet touching the clothes.
Which, when you have told that story, which I think I've only heard it once because you're not doing any of your new stuff or whatever, so it always sounded so woo-woo to me. That sounds beautiful. I would love to sit in the closet and just touch clothes.
I think
and
one
be
of the times I
inspired.
said it on stage, the punch is like, and it was the best New Year's Eve.
Yes.
Like it starts out as like, what
Yeah.
happened? You just got lost.
It was
You're
the
not with your
best.
boyfriend. You're on the love drug. You're alone in a closet. And then I'm like, it was the best time I've had.
Yeah.
You get it.
Yeah. You're feeling.
You're like, that's
fabrics.
no joke. That's real. You're
It
at one with
is.
the universe.
It's just like stretching. Like textures are wonderful. I did mushrooms a little while ago in I was staying at someone's house, and I did it at their house, and it was the first time.
With them
Hold
or
on.
by yourself?
No, it's by myself. But I'm trying to make this still. I'm trying to still paint myself in a light where I am rich.
Oh, I thought you were going to say evolved. Evolved and rich, same thing.
Yeah, it's the first time I ever done mushrooms in a house that didn't have a popcorn ceiling. And it's not as good. It's not as good. Popcorn ceilings are amazing for mushrooms. I'll stand by that till the day I die.
It's a different kind of rich.
It's a different kind of rich.
It's like there was this reel on Instagram that was an HGTV thing, but from the 90s.
Yeah.
And so they're like, can you close off the rooms? And can we get a popcorn ceiling? Like all the
my
things were
God.
opposite. Can we put a wall-to-wall carpet? Ugh, this
Yeah.
hardwood floor. Ugh.
Can we get some of those mirrors with the gold flecks on it that cover the mirror?
Perfect.
Oh God.
So
yeah.
you see like
So I think I'll have one popcorn ceiling room.
the
in my
origin
house,
of
in my
life
mansion.
in the popcorn ceiling.
It just is like a
God
texture
talks to
that's
you.
lovely, and especially if you have colored lights and stuff, it creates shadows that are very nice. And I think it creates like a blank space for your mind to reflect on yourself, instead of like, oh, it's a smooth surface, boring. It was like, it was
So
definitely different.
and mushrooms, you need texture.
You need textures. You need textures. It helps your brain kind of.
And you do a lot of stretching and oiling of your body.
I do. Not oiling of my
Are
body.
you wearing a Speedo?
I do oiling
Are
of
you
my
wearing lederhosen?
face.
I'm having a flashback to our other podcast. Are you wearing the socks with the
Oh, no.
What
I
were
am
those
wearing my
things that
day of
hold
the
up-
week socks, though.
garters? Thank you.
Yeah. So anyways, I mean, I would be interested to see. Here's how I feel about mushrooms. I do think that it's incredibly powerful, but I also think that you have to be very careful with them, and it's easy to have bad trips. I think I would be an amazing trip sitter,
Yeah, you would.
and that's something I think, like, when I retire, when I'm like in my like 70s, I think I'm just gonna be an old person who like helps people do mushrooms.
Would you ever do the acid therapeutically,
No,
like with the doctor? in
no,
the
because
office?
what I've found is that I don't need that much time, and I don't want that much time.
Oh, so
That's
you've
why-
already found the perfect recipe for yourself.
Yeah, I only want a couple hours of it, and that's
Yeah.
all you need. After that, you're just like going on this thing, and it's harder to control. And it goes. What I really want is just a deeper connection to myself, to the earth, to my muscles, and to like my own emotions and my space.
If that ain't woo, I don't know what is.
Yeah,
You tell me. That's the best woo
You
I've
got
ever
it.
heard.
Look at that sweet popcorn ceiling right there.
Ooh, I don't even need mushrooms. I love it.
Doesn't it feel nice to
It
look at
does
it in
feel
there?
nice.
It does not look good in your house at all. But I think I might legit have like one popcorn ceiling room in my mansion.
I wonder if there's like a perfectly, late 50s room that if everything was decorated to the height of design, that if you would love the popcorn ceiling in that room. Like if it was like a Mad Men,
Men. So good. Yeah, I bet so.
if everything
And
kinda
everything was like a
reflected
brightly colored and textured. You had a cool like
that. Like a puce, a
really nice
chartreuse.
rug that was like a little bit shaggy, but not too shaggy that you couldn't vacuum
We
it.
had a gold shag carpet and a lime green couch.
Ooh,
Yeah. and metallic wallpaper for sure.
That sounds amazing.
And my dad had a big old mustache. My mom used to have a curly perm. I barely remember that. I was really little. And then she grew into like a little pin curl thing with a short.
What?
Yeah,
That is awesome.
She was pretty styling. She was a little mod
Oh,
early on.
that's so cool.
Yeah. Anyway, whoa. Oh, they're removing the popcorn ceiling.
Literally
Anyway,
everything that you can find is just how to remove
It's
it.
just how
Is
to
how-
remove
Everybody
it.
wants it gone.
I know.
that's
There's-
just where we're at.
There's only one reason for it, and that is in the instance that you are doing mushrooms. Otherwise, get rid of it.
Hey, everybody, won't you like, subscribe, give us 5
This is
stars?
their favorite part every time.
And also weigh in on the microdosing. Am I right?
yeah,
Sounds incredible.
Ooh, on this one for sure. Send me your stories. Like that will you do at gmail.com. Send us your stories.
Thank
good
you.
or bad. Let us know how you feel about it, especially if you have like real info on it. Because I just read an article that,
And
and
then you
then
went
I
for
say
it.
that's true.
Solid. Thanks a lot.
Love you guys.
We
Bye.
know that life is shit and we can all get so fed up with it. It may be weird, but hey, it works for you. Go on and pour some Kool-Aid for 2 and tell us what's the woo that you do.